Hi and welcome to MSc. In this video, we're going to be looking at determining the vertex of a parabola using the method of factors. So here we have a parabola, f of x is equal to negative 0.5, x minus 3, x plus 7. This is already in factored form, and to be able to use the method of factors, we have to have the parabola in factored form. If you want to review how to do trinomial factoring, there's a couple of videos I have. One's on simple trinomial factoring. The other one's on factoring by decomposition. So if you were provided a parabola in standard form, you'd have to factor it to get to this stage. What we have here is I've also graphed it out for us, and we can see that this parabola will continue down. It opens downwards because of the negative sign at the front. We have our axis. This is my f of x axis. And we have our x-axis along here. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out the value of the vertex here. And again, this vertex is going to have the form h, comma, k. And we'll go over those letters and stuff as we solve through this. We're trying to figure out what that value is. And so from this factored form of the parabola, we can take a look at trying to find the roots of this. So we can let f of x equals 0. And by doing this, we're going to find the roots of the zeros of the parabola. So we're going to find the values that are right here and right here. And you can probably tell this by looking at the graph, but we're actually going to solve this out. So 0 is equal to negative 0.5 x minus 3 x plus 7. And this can only be true if one of the factors here, the first term, so the first factor, second factor, or third factor, if one of them is 0. Well, negative 0.05 is never going to be 0. In fact, you can picture dividing both sides by it to remove it if you'd like. But we really have two scenarios. We have one where this is equal to 0, right? So x minus 3 equals 0, which means one of my intercepts is x equals 3. Or we have the scenario where this bracket is 0. And so x plus 7 is equal to 0, and that'll be true. Move the 7 across, make it negative when x is negative 7. So we have two intercepts here. The coordinates of those intercepts are the values here. So this is my x1, and it is going to be negative 7, comma 0. And this is my x2, my other x-intercept, and it will be 3, comma 0. So I'll number these. I'll number this 1 and 2 just because of where they show up on the number line. And so what we're going to use here to figure out the vertex from these intercepts is we're going to use the fact that we have symmetry in this parabola. And if we look at this line, we have a line of symmetry that runs right through the vertex, and this is my axis of symmetry. And this line will always have the equation of x equals h, where h is the x coordinate of that vertex. The other thing I know about this is I know that this x equals h line is halfway between my roots. This will always be true. So I can calculate my h value by looking at the midpoint between those two coordinates. And how we do that is we do the sum of the two coordinates, or the sum of the x values, divided by 2. And so this will equal negative 7 plus 3 divided by 2. And this will give me negative 4 divided by 2, which will equal negative 2. So I know that my coordinate is negative 2, and that definitely looks right from the graph. Again, we can do this without the graph. The graph is there as an aid for us. So now, how do I get the k value? How do I get my y value? Well, I know that my k value is going to be the value of f, the function, when x is equal to h. Specifically here, it's going to be the value when h, because we know it's negative 2. So we can sub that in for x up here, and I can say negative 0.5, negative 2 minus 3, negative 2 plus 7, and then we'll say negative 0.5, and this first bracket will be negative 5, and the second bracket will be positive 5, and then we'll get negative 0.5 times negative 25. And we can say that this is going to be positive because of the two negatives, and this will be 12.5. We could leave this as a fraction as well, but to three significant figures, it's still an exact value. So we can write it like this. So now I know the coordinate of my vertex, right? We've solved it. We know that the vertex here is negative 2, comma, 12.5. And we used the symmetry of a parabola to do it. If this question also asked us, as an extension piece, to write this in vertex form, well, I know the vertex form of a parabola always has this setup. X minus h squared plus k. And so we know the x minus h part, because the minus h, the minus of the negative 2, will give me positive 2 squared, and the k is 12.5, or 25 over 2. And the a value is the same as the a value here out front of the factored form, and it would be negative 0.5. So look at what the question asked. Did it ask for the vertex? Did it ask for vertex form of the parabola? And if it says using the method of factors, this is what it means. It's taking advantage of the symmetry of the parabola, finding your x-intercepts, midpoint, and subbing that x value into the function to find the y value, and then you get your vertex that way. Thanks so much for listening. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, please consider liking the video and subscribing. And thank you for listening and watching.